What's going on, guys? It's Sam, the Raid Man. We are back recording another video. It's New Year's Eve. If you hear fireworks, people are celebrating really early. Today I want to talk about the best legendary in every faction. We will be including void legendaries, but you'll be surprised. There's a lot of factions where the best champion, in my opinion, is not a void legendary. We're not counting mythicals today. We're really just looking at the legendaries. I don't think there's any factions where an epic would take the place. Potentially you can argue with me. I will say this is my list, so it's very subjective. I'm sure I'm wrong on some things, but I do think this is a pretty good list. Definitely let me know in the comments where you disagree. So starting off with the best banner lord in the legendary and the banner lord faction, there's a few really good ones. Stultus is really good. Aislinn, Baron, Taras, Marichka, Quintus, all very good. To me, it's got to be Taras, Taras, however you want to say it. Just insane damage, insane survivability, insane control when you think about the fears. You got crazy in PvP, crazy in PvE. A lot of the stuff I want to look at today is value over replacement, and then how many areas are they good in. So like, for example, Warlord's a great example. He is so good in Arena, but he's not that good anywhere else. So, I mean, he's fine everywhere else, but there's just other champions who are more useful. He's a specialist, you know? So I don't know, it'd be hard for me to put someone like that, but Taras is so good everywhere. Okay, next up we have the High Elves. This one's tough, really because there's not a ton of great candidates. There's a ton of solid options. Elinaro's cool. Aislinn is cool. Fina is cool. Shirmani, Lenothril, they're cool. Deliana, Lysandra, Yannicka, Tatura, Bellinor, Arbitral, Supremo, Hain, Ethos. All of these are good champions, above average champions, but nothing crazy. Prisma looks cool. I haven't tested her or seen her enough to know. So to me, the answer's got to be Wallmaster Thorion. He's definitely a Hydra specialist, but he's got other areas that he's good at. He's buffing himself, and then he's got AoE, enemy max HP, block buffs, decreased attack. That's useful in lots of areas of the game, not just in a Hydra. It's just where he specializes. And then AoE A1, you can put him in a stun set, you can put him in a provoke set, hex set, curse set, whatever you want to do it. He's just got a lot going on. Okay, next up we have the Sacred Order. This one's tough. I think we have to say a moment of silence for Wixwell. They nerfed our boy into the ground. The shield comps are just not as crazy. There's still some there. My clan boss team is actually still a Wixwell team. It's just a very different Wixwell team now than it was before, and it's not near as crazy. You can see him doing 310 million. Used to do 1 billion with Wixwell. That's how cool he was. So he's still very, very good. I just don't know if I can give him the #1 spot. There's a lot of good other champions. I think my shout has to go to Cardiel. I always thought he was overrated until I got him, and man, he's good. He hits kind of hard, good ally attack on a 4-turn cooldown, full cleanse, unstealable revive on death, 3-turn cooldown, heals on the A1. This does a lot of healing because he's hitting on the ally attack, and then on the passive he joins in all the time. So he's healing you a lot. It really does stack up, and a 19% speed aura. He's in my main Hydra team. He can be used in arena teams. He can be used in any boss run. He's just really, really good. Okay, next up, we have the Barbarians. I think this was my hardest decision. There's like 7-ish champions you can make an argument for being the best. Syl, very old school, but still very good. Reviver, decreased speed, decreased turn meter, increased speed on yourself, heals, and full stuns, really good stun control. Armon's obviously amazing, mostly an arena specialist, but still can be good in PvP. Thor, top tier damage dealer. That's 3 in the top row that are all amazing. Valkyrie, old school, still very, very strong. Arena, PvE, clan boss, wherever you want her. Still very, very cool champion. I wish I had her. Archer Queen, probably the Hydra specialist, but also still very good in other areas. I also wish I had her. Turvold, great damage dealer. Yakarl, great damage dealer, great Fire Knight champion. Tuhanarok, great support, great Hydra. Odin, great arena, great Hydra, great PvE. To me, it's probably between Armons and Odin as the best two, but I mean, I lost my breath talking about how many champions there are. There's so many good champions. I think it's got to be Armons, just because he is, as frustrating as this is and how broken as he is, he's the best arena champion in the game. He's very broken. He needs to be nerfed. I'm totally on board with Drock, but that doesn't, just because I don't like him and I don't like the way he's built and what he's done to the game, doesn't mean I don't respect how good he is, and he is that good. Anyways, moving past that, this one's a little bit tougher. There's a lot of good champions here. Ignatius, Vizig, Korgar's cool, Blizzard's good, Stock is good, Gurgo's good, Grizzer is great. Don't think Togron or Bellator are amazing. Diamant looks interesting, but again, I just never have seen him, so I don't know. Cracklin looks meh. So I think it's between Gurgo and Grizzor, and I think it's got to be Grizzor. AoE shield, healing everyone, full buff extension, and then full provoke, increase resistance, increase defense on himself, and then he heals with a passive whenever he gets hit. So he's kind of like support and damage and a lot of utility on one kit. Kind of like a Krisk, but I think probably a little bit better. Lizardmen, I think this one's pretty easy. Python's great. Necmo is awesome. Krisk is amazing. Ramantu is great. Sulfurion is great. Fighty may be the shout. Forgot this guy was in the game. We're going to leave him out because he's brand new. I don't have him, haven't seen him tested, but I know he's like just built for Hydra. Just unbelievable. I'm going to give it to Teox because you can use him anywhere. People use him in Chimera, Clan Boss, Hydra Clan Boss, Arena, Siege, Faction Wars, Dungeons, like just everywhere in the game. If you have Legate Teox, then you're using him. And I sound salty because it's these champions I don't have, but he's 100% broken. Now this is probably the easiest decision of the game for me. The best legendary in all of this is Marius. He's so good. You can build him for Arena with counterattacking with Enfeebles. This nukes. AoE, enemy max HP, 3-hitter, and then he's got an extra turn where he buffs himself, and so it can get even on a lower cooldown. I mean, it's just, he's so good. He's so good. I finally got him like 2 weeks ago, and I am loving him. I put him in my best gear. He is just, he's awesome. Looks like I got 1 or 2 more masteries to finish out. He's just so good. This is not that great of a build, but he's got the ignore defense. I mean, he's so good. I don't know if I said that enough, but he is that crazy. Orcs, I think this one's tough. I think there's a lot of ways you could argue. I think Warlord, again, because he's the best at any area of anyone in this faction, maybe. But again, just not useful anywhere else. Varl's great damage everywhere. Supreme Gaelic is really good in Hydra and can be used everywhere else. He's close. I think to me it's Artak. AoE HP burn on a 3-turn cooldown, AoE HP burn activation, and decreased attack on a 3-turn cooldown, and then extending AoE, AoE, Sunset, Provoke Set, Curse Set, all of that stuff we talked about with other champions, HP based, and he kind of boosts his own stats as HP burns go off. I think he's awesome. He's so underrated because he's free. It falls into that thing where it's like, oh, he's free, everyone has him, he's not that good. That's just not true. Demonspawn, I think there's a lot of ways you can talk about here. Volcanos looks awesome. Lamasu is cool. She's definitely being play tested and being utilized a lot. She's got some interesting skills in her kit. I think one of the most slept on champions in the game is Helikath, but I think to me it's probably a 2-horse race between Duchess and Kymar. Again, there's just so many great options. Damage dealers, hexers, damage dealers, damage dealers, damage dealers, healers. I think I'm going to give it to Kymar just because of how many areas he's utilized in. He's still great in the arena. He's in my main arena team. He's still using Clan Boss. I have multiple built out. Dungeon runs, you can even use them in Hydra if you really want to. Duchess is just a little, I think her downfall in the arena is a big part of why I don't use her as much. She's definitely still used some in Stoneskin. She's just not as good. I mean, the game is kind of going into a direction where you're trying to beat things fast, and Duchess is very much of a slow, tank it out type champion. So arena is probably the only place she has a good shout. So I think it's Kymar to me. I just think he's still just as good, basically. Undead Hordes, I think this is another easy one. So many great champions. And there's just one that stands above the rest. I mean, just amazing A1, one of the best A1s in the game, amazing A2. Back when this used to be on a 3-turn cooldown, you could argue this was the best skill in the game. And a good solid revive, great passive, healing and removing debuffs, and then resistance aura. She's great. She was my fastest champion for a long time until I got Chuzen, and now Sippy's in a 9-piece protection set, and she's so good in that. All right, Dark Elves, I think this is a 2-horse race. A lot of good champions. It comes down to these 2 right here. Honorable mention to Visix. It's Lydia or Mithrala. Again, this is just how my brain thinks. You're going to get both of them pretty late game. Maybe Mithrala a little bit earlier, depending on, if you get 1 or 2 good Hydra champions, you can do that where you're still struggling in some faction wars. Lydia is probably better for progression because decreased defense and weaken, AoE decreased defense and weaken, and strength and increased speed is huge. But Mithrala is way more in-game. She's Arena, she's Hydra, she's all the different dungeons and Doom Tower bosses, and Lydia just kind of falls out of that. Ghostborn replaces her in a lot of speed runs, and she's just not as good. I don't know anything about this guy. I think he's a hitter, right? He's like a nuker, faction unity nuker. Yeah, I just don't know enough about him, so let me know if I've missed something there. This one's an interesting one. Knight Rev, I have 2 that I wrote down, and they're kind of opposites. So honorable mention to Jorjid. There's a lot of honorable mentions here, but to me it's between Teodor and Narcisse. You can see 2 of the champions I don't have, lucky me. Teodor is the god of PvE, both for speedrunning and soloing and things like that. He's got the AoEs, he's got the HP burn activation, placing poisons, he's activating poisons. He's just all PvE. You can even use him in Hydra. You just don't really use him in the arena. But he's pretty much everywhere but the arena. Versus Narcisse is kind of the opposite. He's not bad everywhere else, but he's really just an arena champion. And this is slow, this is fast. I mean, I guess Theodore can be fast too with speedruns if you have multiple or Calval X's, but Narcisse is basically arena, nowhere else, and Theodore's everywhere else and not arena. I think I'm going to give it to Theodore just because like Narcisse is better, especially if you have White Queen and Cora, than a lot of other people. But for example, if you have a Georgid, you're not like that sad that you have to use Georgid instead of Narcisse. If you have someone else instead of Theodore, like a stock, then you probably are pretty sad that you don't have the Theodore. Dwarves, it's a 2-horse race again. Used to be Trunda, potentially used to be Tormund. Sen is also really, really good, but it's between Acrizia and Newt. And I feel like everyone says Newt. So I will agree with him. I think it might be Acrizia just because it's AoE or enemy max HP on everything, but there's more utility here. He can be Fire Knight with the freeze. He can do some control and, survivability when you're lowering the boss's attack, placing counterattack on himself. And he lowers the boss's defense. This is really big. I noticed this in my Chimera runs. He's lowering the defense a ton so that Marius and himself can hit harder. So I think it is Newt, just slightly edging out Acrizia. Okay, last two, we got Shadowkin. What another stacked faction. I mean, great, solid, great, solid, meh, great, solid, great. I mean, just more than half the faction are great champions that you should be happy to pull. Gentoro, I have +4. He's one of my favorite damage dealers. He's just not as meta. Kimmy, a great speed freak control champion. Ninja, one of the best damage dealers in the game. Was part of my 1 billion team for Hydra. Michinaki, amazing Hydra. Amazing really everywhere. I think he's underrated. Harima, so good. I'm not even gonna talk about everyone. I could go on and on. It's between Harima, Chuzen, and Ieyasu. I'm going to take out Ninja because it's a whole situation with some people can't get him. I don't know enough about Ieyasu. I know he can be insane. I feel like I'm going to say Harima. It's just because her damage is amazing. I have a video that was super fun to film. I tried to win 100 arena battles in a row and I got to like 91 or something with Harima the day after I pulled her, I think. And she's just so good. She hits so hard. She can activate her own skills. She can provoke. She's really good against Demonspawn. So people like Duchess. She neutralizes someone like a Mortu Macabre. And the biggest thing is her passive, because this is what brings her out of just PvP into PvE as well. Like she's really good against Bommel or any champ, any boss that's going to be Ammius, the Lunar Archon. She's really helpful in there because anyone who's ignoring defense. All right, lastly, we have Sylvan Watchers. I think there's 3 here, and I think there's a lot of really surprisingly good champions. I didn't go for Elva. I've come to learn that she is much more amazing than I thought. Same thing with Oella, a lot better than I thought. Eastrid, I'm glad I went for her. I thought she was just Arbiter 2.0. I use her so much more than Arbiter. She's so much better than Arbiter. Furil, unbelievable. Padraig, also really, really good. I got him, didn't think I'd use him that much. He is great. And Imik, same thing, also think he's great. Yensinza, I don't have, but I know is pretty cool. She's got the Poison Cloud. So to me, it is Furil the Barkhorn, the Christmas tree, just a few days after Christmas. Decrease speed on the A1, ignores resistance. Decrease action block buffs, ignores resistance. Increase resistance, perfect bill on all allies. And then this is what it's really all about. Like the rest of his kit is awesome. This is what it's all about. Increases resistance for champions under buffs, increases accuracy, increases damage dealt. He's just so good. I used him just earlier today in my Chimera run. This is my team that I was messing around with earlier today. I used him in my Hydra team. He's still my main Hydra team. He's just so good. Furil is awesome. Eastrid, Elva, honorable mentions, but to me, Furil is the most special, most unique of any of those champions. So long-winded, talked a lot, but I hope you guys enjoy the content. Subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys on the next one.